Gemini. Yay! Gemini's here. I don't know where that came from, but I have to clear energies in between each read, and I actually took a little bit of walk and had a second cup of coffee, so I'm like, I'm a little hyper. Plus, Gemini is my 6th house. It's my house of partnership, so it's a good sign. I like Gemini. Anyway, let's get to it. This is the hopes, fears, and reality spread. So just as a gentle reminder, it's the hopes, fears, and reality spread is intended to get you out of your head and a little bit more grounded. The purpose is to get you focused by getting both your intellect and your intuition working together. That's mentioned in the description box along with the deck being used. Oh, speaking of getting out of your head, here's the 8 of Swords in the inverse. Wow, Gemini. Awesome. So you are hoping to stop overthinking a situation. You are hoping to make a finalized decision, and it's been a tough decision because you've been stuck between a rock and a hard place. But you're finally coming out of that thinking stage, and you've overthought this process a little bit too long, okay? It's been a long time coming. You've really rattled this around in your head enough that it's driving you crazy, and you're hoping just to make that final decision, take action, move forward, and leave the thinking about it behind. Your fear in this situation is that there may be a loss of resources that you will have to heal from in the process. Now, resources is an interesting thing. So the pentacles, you know, everything in tarot has an internal and an external meaning as well. Resources can be anything from friends to physical health to actual money. It's something that is tangible, something that you can use. So in this decision that you're making, you're fearing a loss of resources that you will have to heal from. The reality of the situation is a little scary because you have 2 5s here. 5s represent chaos and 5s represent lacking. So the good part about it is, though, they're both in the inverse. So your fear of not being able to manage your resources is something that you're coming out of because you very recently had an issue where you couldn't manage your resources properly. With the 5 of Swords and the 5 of Cups both in the inverse, it kind of feels like the resources were internal. So this could be physical health or mental health. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. Especially with the 8 of Swords in the inverse, like feeling like you were going crazy, you were overthinking a situation. The 5s always represent chaos, but the wonderful thing about chaos is when chaos and change come into our life, it often shows us what we don't want. Okay? So it feels like you've already had a couple of setbacks in the past and you're fearing that there's more. But I'm telling you, the reality is saying you are coming out of these setbacks. You have figured out what it is that you don't want. One thing I've learned since I started doing tarot is when you're confused and you have a lot of options, actually, you know what? I don't know if you've ever seen the Matthew McConaughey commencement speech for, was it the University of Houston, maybe? He says that too many options will make tyrants of us all. Okay? And if you start making a list of the things you don't want, inevitably the things that you do want will just be there one day. And I probably misquoted that a little bit, but that commencement speech was absolutely amazing. And that's what I get from the 5 of Cups and the inverse and this, is you're finally figuring out what you don't want, so you narrowed down your options so you can get the hell out of your head and make the decision that you need. And the fear that you have is based on what's happened in the past. However, if you want something you've never had, you have to be willing to do something you've never done. So if you're doing something you've never done and really just being firm in this decision, you will get a different outcome. And that's what this is telling me here. So I'm not even going to pull any other cards here, because what it feels to me like, Gemini, is that you've gone through enough. You've been through enough in this particular situation that you know all the outcomes you don't want, and you know how to avoid the outcomes that you don't want. So just go ahead and look at what's left, and the answer is probably right in front of your eyes. Gemini, this was a strong read, and it's a simple read. It was a complicated explanation, but it was a very simple read. And sometimes simple reads in tarot are the best because the message is just loud and clear. You know what you don't want out of this situation. So go back and look at it and see what's left. And the answer will be right in front of your eyes. Sometimes when you're chin deep in quicksand, all you can see is the quicksand. Stop looking at the quicksand because there's a branch above your head. Look up and grab onto that branch. Gemini, I hope you found a message that serves your highest good, and I'll see you next time.